Welcome to the Species Canine Podcast and happy Father's Day weekend to everybody who is a father out there. Today, we're going to nerd out a little bit. So we're going to discuss classical conditioning and self-advocating behavior and automatic reinforcing behaviors. So stay tuned. How does these concepts work together? So classical conditioning is the pairing of an unconditioned stimulus with a stimulus to create a conditioned stimulus. Okay. Ring bell, dog rules, tell dog sits, it's reinforcement, right? That's simple, very classical conditioning there. So then we have the component of self-advocating behaviors. So recently posted about not having your dog self-advocate and kind of getting some pushback on some things. People basically saying, I don't know how I'm talking about. And so we're going to go ahead and nerd out and we're going to delve into this so people can actually understand what this is. So self-advocating behaviors in any organism, whether it's a cat, dog, mouse, pigeon, doesn't matter, is a behavior that exists to gain something they want. If a kid comes up and says, hey, dad, can I have a cookie? That's a self-advocating behavior. They're asking for that. It's something that you want as your child develops, and something that's really big in ABA and teaching primarily children with autism to self-advocate, to ask and do appropriate behaviors to achieve the things they want. And there's steps that are involved with using different mediums to allow the child to communicate if they're nonverbal to do those. And our dogs are the same way. They're nonverbal. They can't ask. So they start doing behaviors such as bringing you a toy and saying, let's play. That's a self-advocating behavior. The only difference is this can lead to problems with dogs versus so much with a child. So they're coming over and self-advocating. Now, if you play with that dog at that point, it is now being conditioned. It's being reinforced. Classical conditioning is starting to take place. Same thing happens. You're sitting down for dinner. Your dog just happens to walk over and your child tosses them a chicken nugget. That dog learned, oh, humans sit down at the table. I walk over. The little human throws me food. We're reinforcing that. And that can become another self-advocating behavior where the dog, hey, I want to eat too. They're coming over, right? And those behaviors start getting automatically reinforced. The other side of all of this is the behaviors such as problem behaviors. The dog is digging. The dog is chasing inappropriate things. Those are all self-advocating behaviors. So if you have a dog that has a prey drive that's not being met, they don't have an outlet, a way to meet that internal drive of, hey, I want to chase something, I want to bite it, whatever it may be, you're not giving them that. They're going to find a way to meet that drive. Okay. They're going to do that by digging holes, chasing inappropriate things, chasing their tail, doing these things that are self-advocating in nature and automatically rewarding. So let's dive into a little bit of the nerdiness here, quoting some things from this amazing book here. Okay. It's about that thick. Applied behavioral analysis, third edition, John Cooper, and he is very well known in the ABA world. So we're going to delve into this a little bit and quote some stuff from, and he's obviously quoting other people in other studies as well. So first off, we need to get the true definition of automatic reinforcing behavior. So he quotes a guy named Kennedy, who's writing from 1994, noted that applied behavioral analysis used two meanings to define the term automatic reinforcement. In the first instance, automatic reinforcement is determined by the absence of social mediation, meaning nothing's telling me I'm doing a good job. Nothing is saying, hey, great job. I'm not getting any external reinforcement. This is all intrinsic. It's internal. Automatic reinforcement refers to a behavior stimulus change relation that occurs without the presence of consequence by other people. Remember, consequence can be positive or negative, and you can add punishment, take it away, whatever it is. So, a dog is digging. Their human's not saying good boy, or bad boy. There's digging, and they're getting that intrinsic reinforcement. The second definition here, automatic reinforcement is assumed when a behavior persists in the absence of any known reinforcement. this default situation, automatic reinforcement, is assumed to be the controlling variable. So there's nothing on the outside where your dog is digging a hole telling them good or bad or indifferent. You can't see the reinforcement. That's what's come down. I cannot see why I'm doing this. You get a bug bite on your arm and you scratch it, which freaking have one, mosquito. I scratch it. No one sees a reinforcement. It's all intrinsic. I'm like, oh, okay, relieves the itch. All internally intrinsic behaviors. And these are the same thing as a self-advocating behavior. I'm finding a way to scratch the itch, quote unquote, right? Of this behavior. As Vollmer stated, one clear goal of research should be to develop procedures designed to identify specific sources of the automatic reinforcement. Effective assessments should be allowed for the development and treatment involving a reversal or elimination of the behavior. He lays out 5 different steps. For our purposes here, his number 3, because they talk about medication and like that. But for ours, it's implementing a differential reinforcement of alternative behaviors, DRA, intervention, thus providing a choice with an alternative source of reinforcement contingent on the appropriate behavior. This is giving the dog an alternate behavior. You see your dog digging, they want to chase something. So now we introduce play, we introduce tug, we introduce a herding ball, something else, and then we reinforce that behavior. So they're no longer intrinsically getting satisfied by digging, but instead they're being reinforced by doing something they really want to do, by chasing a ball, by tug, by doing whatever it may be. So now we can reinforce the appropriate behavior, thus eliminating the negative behavior of digging holes. That is self-advocating behavior, automatic reinforcement behavior, and classical conditioning. Because again, we start introducing a herding ball, the dog plays with it, you say, good boy, they're getting reinforced, they're getting the reinforcement from playing instead of digging a hole. We've now done a differential reinforcement of alternate behaviors, DRA, to allow them to know, I don't have to self-advocate. I don't have to dig a hole. I don't have to ask for play. My owner is going to provide this for me now. Holes right in the world. I don't have to dig holes in my backyard. That is what we're talking about when we're talking about self-advocating behaviors and finding that automatic reinforcement. Just think of automatic reinforcement is something intrinsic. It's automatically being reinforced when I do this behavior. I scratch an itch. I dig a hole. Whatever it may be, it's all intrinsic for our dog. That's self-advocating. That's automatic reinforcement. Hopefully this clears some things up for people out there that are not really understanding what this is, and understand that your dog will self-advocate and it can cause problems, and it's getting reinforced intrinsically. Reinforcement doesn't just happen, extrinsically. We're not just tossing treats to a dog digging a hole, telling them good boy. They don't need that. They're getting it internally from themselves, from that digging behavior, because they have an issue with prey drive, whatever it may be. So understand that and be smart about it, and understand the science and the understanding of behaviors through behavioral analysis. It's all there. It's all laid out. That's why I'm here, to help educate people. I don't mind the back and forth, but when people are just trying to say that I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, and get a little touchy, because here it is. It's in science. It's not me. I'm not saying this stuff, folks. I am not like coming up and just randomly saying, oh, this is what it is. No, it's laid out in science on what it is. I'm just interpreting it for you and making it understandable so you can understand what your dog is doing and why they're doing it. So we have to look at those things from a scientific perspective and understand the words and the terminology and apply it to everyday situations with our dogs. This isn't my thoughts or my opinions. This is true information. I'm just quoting the science and interpreting it for you. You can argue with me all you want online. Completely okay, back and forth. But at the end of the day, science wins unless you can prove it. Otherwise, let's look at the science. Let's understand the facts and the realities of what's going on with these self-advocating behaviors and how they're being reinforced through classical conditioning and being reinforced automatically. And we can start changing and shaping behaviors, this way through DRA, and get the dogs that we really want in our lives and not have bad behavioral issues that are intrusive on our lives and in our backyards and on our neighbors and things like that. So this is the Species Canine Podcast. As always, train smart.